A Tale of Two Messerschmitts from Airfix 109s, take 2. Welcome back to the channel, folks. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You are always most welcome. Well, oh boy. I've just about calmed down from my review of the Messerschmitt 109 G5 G6 from Airfix. A lot of you will have seen this. Most of you watching, I'm sure. And yes, I had a bit of a meltdown about it, but I think I had fair good cause. Now, that seems to happen a lot. There seems to be a certain small number of people in the modelling community that perhaps, they don't like me personally, I've got no idea, but people seem to want to shoot the messenger all the time instead of actually focusing on the issue. And yeah, there are people who are, one person suggested, I'm sure some of you will know who I'm talking about, but one person did make a suggestion saying I should just kept quiet about it and got Airfix to replace the parts, which I thought was absolutely astonishing thing to come out with, actually. That's not ethical, but you know, because what to keep getting free stuff? There's somebody else said, oh, well, you're getting free stuff, you shouldn't complain about it. Why? Doesn't matter how it was bought, whether it was lent to me, loaned to me, given to me as a gift from the manufacturer, as it was in this case from Airfix, who very kindly gave me the item. It's not going to affect me. I am going to be completely unbiased when I do these reviews, and it doesn't matter how I obtain the kit. I mean, lots of people loan kits to me, so it's not going to, you know, make me say, oh, it's 10 out of 10 because somebody loaned it to me. It doesn't work like that. If you are objective and you're wanting to show people and use my personal experiences and, you know, eyes on the ground sort of thing to give you a meaningful review, you've got to be honest about it. And if there's quality problems, they need to be known about. The proof of the pudding in what I'm saying is simply this. I mean, I've got to say this. It reminds me of the Hans Christian Andersen story, The Emperor's New Clothes, where I'm the little boy at the end who pops up and says, but it's not right, it's faulty. You know, and you've got these people all around who are cheerleading something that isn't good, you know, and we'll get into the specifics in a second. That's not correct. You know, if something's not right, it should be highlighted. Yes, discussed with the manufacturer, but not hidden and swapped for a good one and then nothing said. That is just astonishing. I can't imagine why somebody thinks that's okay, and how most people would react to that if they thought that was going on. I think that's amazing, really. Anyway, just for the record, I hope Airfix will continue to, if they wish, it's entirely their choice, to supply me with kits. Doesn't matter. If they don't, it doesn't matter. I won't hold it against them if they don't, if they're not happy with me. It really makes no difference whatsoever to me in the future. I will continue reviewing their products, whether it's, I mean, I haven't been supplied a free kit for, I think it was 2 years. I didn't get the Jaguar free, and I gave it a rave review. Yeah. Can you see the difference between, you know, having values and ethics and trying to, I don't know what these people are trying to do, and they're just giving a rave review to something because it's free? I gave the Jaguar a rave review and I paid for it, okay? Paid for the Stalwart as well. That didn't get a rave review. We know the situation. So I just want to make this clear at the very beginning. So those very critical comments that I've had and some borderline abuse comments, I don't care, really. Nothing's going to change the way I approach this. And it doesn't matter whether I get free kits or I have to buy them or they're loaned to me or whatever it is. It makes no difference to me. I'll be free, unbiased and fair and tell you what I see, you know, and what my feelings are based on the facts. Nothing else. Not allegiances, yeah. Not worried about upsetting anybody. That doesn't work like that with me. I'm not trying to upset anybody, though, I promise you. And, so let's get into it. So, Dale at Airfix has responded very professionally, incredibly generous with his time as well, I've got to say. He and Matt Whiting, the designer of the kit, it must be very frustrating for him especially, because if you look at my review, the first one, it's amazing. Even my wife said, my God, this is like you're having a loving with it, because she didn't realise what was coming and everything. This is like you're having a right loving with Airfix, you know. You've not become one of these, you know, people that are, you know, your rose-tinted glasses on. I said, no, it's brilliant. Right up until minute 50 in the video, and then of course it all went horribly wrong when we got into the plastic, and we saw there were some genuine problems, quite serious ones in my case. Now here's the situation if you don't know it. So basically, if you watch the first 50 minutes of that video, you'll see me gushing about this kit because I love the design, I love the instructions, I love the clear parts. I thought the artwork was brilliant, the colour call-outs, all epic. One of the best ever in terms of instructions, clarity, explaining things. Left you no doubt what the parts were. The engine component, absolutely nailed it. They've got it so well. And then unfortunately, because there was huge quality issue with the actual plastic, this is why it spiraled into a bit of a, what one of my friends called, I think said the last 30 odd minutes was a bit like watching one of those Hitler rant parodies. Not very complimentary. Somebody else said that they thought I put the voodoo curse on it because I was wearing like this, you know, the Day of the Dead shirt with the voodoo like skulls on it. It reminded them of Live and Let Die. Is it Baron Samedi, the evil Baron, you know, voodoo curse. Anyway, but the fact is, there was genuine issues. Now, I was the very first person to encounter that, of all the reviewers. And this is what annoys me, the way that people sort of turn on you like you're the bad guy. Oh, you're saying it's not good and mine was perfect, mine was... Well, I've got breaking news for you. They're not perfect, all of them. There's a large number, don't know what the numbers or the ratios are, and I don't want to exaggerate this, because Airfix are now well on it. They are investigating properly, and it's no doubt at all that they're doing a proper professional job of getting to the bottom of checking the kits. But we've now got reports coming out. Phil Flory has got one just like mine. In fairness though, Phil, he was not amused either. He was not impressed. He wasn't quite as angry as me, but I'm not sure he was quite as positively invested in it beforehand. I was so up for this, and it was like a kid on Christmas Day. Somebody came in and stole all my presents. But he was quite annoyed, and he was very astonished at the quality of the warping. I think the bad quality. Looking at the images I've seen of his example, it's similar to mine in terms of the wing warp, the way it sort of waves, but it didn't seem to have as much twist. Mine's twisted like a propeller. You've seen it already in the box. I've resealed it now, actually. Resealed it. So any relatives of mine or friends of mine this Christmas, I'd get yourself some Valium, because you've got a very nervous time between now and Christmas. You may dodge a bullet, but you might not. You might not. Could be coming to a Christmas tree near you soon. Okay, I'm just joking. Anyway, go back to Phil Flory. Phil Flory got the same issue basically. The one thing that, and he, you know, he was just like me. Called it out. He was completely open about it, and he highlighted it. Didn't exaggerate it. He highlighted it strongly, and that's correct. I'm sorry, that is absolutely right. He did the same as me, so I feel. Yeah, I'm actually quite grateful to Phil in a way, because he didn't cover it up. You know, why would you do that? It's just astonishing. If there's a problem, the manufacturer needs to know anyway, because otherwise, if everybody got one like I got, my God, that's the end, isn't it? Really. Anyway, so Phil's got one not exactly like mine. I was going to say his fuselage, again, it's very warped, and I'll explain why from what Dale's told me. They think the reason is. You know, it's slide moulded, obviously it's got the step in it like a bridge, and he thinks that because of that it's contracting at different rates when it cools, because it's not a straight, because it's such a big piece and a big sprue, it's causing contraction issues, and I think the outer's contracting quicker than the inner is, and then it's creating this warp, and that's what's causing the warp. I think there's some maybe bad handling as well personally, but anyway, he may well be right in what he's saying. But Phil's wasn't as bad as mine, and I'm not just saying that. I saw the images and I thought, yeah, the wing's pretty bad. It's not far off mine, but just without the twist, but it's very wavy. But then his fuselage, it wasn't splayed right out like mine was, you know. But I think what we're going to have here, you know, between the models going out, I think there's obviously a lot of variability. So so far it's like the stalwart. I've got the worst so far. What we need is another reviewer to get a bad one, another reviewer that doesn't cover it up. Yeah, that'd be preferable, wouldn't it? Really. Anyway, we're gonna put this difficult situation into perspective today, because I've got a second, as you can see here, a tale of two Messerschmitts. Maybe I should make that the title. Dale and Matt personally went through a whole load of kits, and my first kit was number 13. I think Phil said his was number 80. think he said 80. 18 or 80, 80 I think. My new second kit that's come through today, which I'm very grateful to Airfix for, is number 34. And I can, to put it, I'll show you them. You can make your own mind up. But it's definitely better. It's a lot better than that first example, which is pretty tragic. I mean, I've had several people come forward and say that's borderline unbuildable. It's going to be very unpleasant. It's going to cause all sorts of issues. And Phil was mentioning this about beyond the final spar, there's an area. They're very thin, the wings on this aircraft, on the model. So when there's no support, it's very warped. It's going to be quite difficult to do much with it. Yeah, you have to get, the hairdryer out or the hot water and start playing around with it. Nobody wants to do that. Anyway, I can't praise Airfix enough for the way that Dale has responded. Put it in context. I make no apologies for my frustration and anger though, because I think that we all know the cause of it, and I've actually gone back to Dale today and say thank him, and we discussed a few things, but thank him for sending it back to me. But I said, this is taking up a lot of your time as well, and you didn't have those quality issues from the British supplier that did the injection moulding for the Spitfire, the guys at Plastech in New Haven, didn't have this sort of angst and level of issue at all, and it looked much nicer. So much hard work goes on at Margate. They're very good at design and they're very good at concepts and picking a good subject. I know that it wasn't my first choice, but it's very well executed, this design, from top to bottom, till it gets into the injection moulder, it seems. And this is where, I'm not going to harp on about that today, but I've made it clear that I think that, most people are saying 95% of the responses to my video in comments have been saying just move it from India because they're never going to get this. I don't know enough about it to comment on that. That's something for Airfix to sort out amongst themselves, but it's not doing them any favours, and it's just a shame because it's, as I said in the first video, I think it would have been a world beater and absolutely definitely my kit of the year if that had been Plastech made, because it's just the overall package that they've produced is so polished this time, so polished. It's got, when I handled it at Telford, I thought it's got a whiff of Tamiya about this, which I haven't really seen before, and their sample was a really good one that they showed me. So it's frustrating that all these people, these designers and artists and Clint, the guy that designed the instructions, and people like that, are being undermined. It's frustrating. It's not fair on them. They've done such a perfect, brilliant. I said to Dale in my email, I said, genuinely, I think you've hit a new height until it gets into the injection mould. Anyway, I'm going to harp on about it. Let's have a look at what they've sent me through, and you can make your own mind up now. Manage your expectations here, because it's not perfect. It's not going to look like a Tamiya kit in terms of the sprue, lack of warp. There is some warpage still in there, but you make your own mind up. So I'm going to move the old one. I was going to do a side by side. There's no point, but you've already seen it, so I don't just take up too much time. Let's have a look. And I'm not going to do a complete review from the start, because remember what I said. 50 minutes in, you watch the first. So if you want to have a nice, if you're thinking, I've got one that's okay. Some of you have got good ones. I think about 4 of you have said yours is fine, and about 3-4 of you have said yours is terrible. So it's about 50-50. I'm not suggesting the overall numbers are 50-50, but just people that have commented to me in the last 48 hours. But if you want to have a happy clappy experience with Airfix, then just watch the first 50 minutes of my review and then this one, okay? And then we'll have a better experience, I think. Let's have a look then. So bear in mind these bags have been opened by Dale and Matt, straight hot from the courier again, and definitely got to have my gloves on. Those guys have been handling it. No, I'm just joking. I said that to them at the show. I had a bit of fun when Dale handed me the kit on the stand, and he said, "Now listen, you." He said, "You play nice. You play nice." I said, "I always play nice as long as you play nice, yeah." He said, "Well, just go over there and you can, they'd say, where they have the kids, there weren't any kids around, but where the kids normally make their models." He said, "Don't go any further, or security will be along." I said, no, I won't run off with it. And then as he handed it to me, he said to me, "Oh yeah, the other YouTubers have already, they've already handled it, and I was like, whoa, I've got no gloves with me today, you should have warned me. Right, let's have a look. Now, I'm going to show you everything, but I won't go through the instructions because we've done that. Just want to show you what they are like. Mustn't bend anything. Any more issues? Well, there's a bit of plastic under there. It's alright, a bit of spray on. So here we go. So let's have a look at the decals, because the first lot were all a bit bent and warped and twisted. Not badly, but they weren't. Oh, these are much nicer actually. They're actually fine. Apart from some things missing, but that's another discussion I've had with Dale. Actually, no, there is a crease there. There is a. Oh. I'm just going to let you see it as it is. It's nothing major, it's just that there's a bit of a crease. Again, a bit of clumsy handling. Can you see this? There. Yeah, it's not the end of the world, obviously, but just a bit of clumsiness going on, you know. So I don't know who's handling this and putting these in these boxes. And I think there's a slight issue there they could perhaps tackle. And then, whoops, take it back in. And then we've got the instructions, and I'm sorry to say, it's showing it exactly as it's come to me, and here we go again. So it's all detached. Detached again. It's ripped. It's not completely detached though. It's like somebody's just been very rough with them, and it always rips at the staple point, which many of you have already said. In fact, I think everybody has got this problem. It's not quite detached there at the bottom. Anyway, we won't dwell on this. I did mention it to Dale. You know, I've given him feedback already on what I've seen. I've had to have a quick shufty just out of courtesy to make sure he knows what my feelings are on receiving this and the actual feedback. We also talked about mass sets. I basically shared with him a lot of the data that was in that video, a bit more in fact, but we won't get into that. That's already been discussed. Anyway, we've got all these beautiful colour call-outs, which I thought were absolutely amazing, to be honest. I really like these. It just confuses me that they put that on the inside. Anyway, but really beautiful. It's world class. These colour call-outs and the instructions, if they weren't ripped, are world class, yeah? So I'm impressed with that. And it is in slightly better condition than the first one. So we'll move on from that, and I shall have a swig of Airfix tea. Did you notice that they're back on the wall behind me as well? they've regained their respectful place. It tastes much sweeter. It tastes very bitter on Friday when I did that first video. I'm not going to show you the clear parts because they're perfect anyway, and they haven't. Something he's not telling me here, I'm sure. But these clear parts, I'm not convinced that they're coming from the same place. Have they got the same code numbers? I'm just going to look at this. It might give me a clue. Oh no, it is. It does sound like it's from the same place. But the clear parts were perfect in the first kit anyway, so I'm not going to dwell on them. They were literally perfect. I thought they were fantastic. So I've never had any beef with them. It's some of these other parts that we were a bit worried about. So I think we'll just concentrate on the ones. Some of these sprues are very flat and smallish sprues. So this one's still sealed, so I'm not going to open that. Some of the ones that are quite small and flat we didn't have an issue with, so I won't worry about them either. Why don't we just get into the nitty gritty, the meat and potatoes of it. So, like, here's one that's been out. So, if it's open already, be afraid. It means that, that Dale and Matt have been worriedly going through them, smelling a rat, worried. So there must be a reason. Let's have a look. Well, we had the gun gondola, which was absolutely brilliant. Yeah, it's been explained now that we've still got this flash, haven't we? And that wasn't explained. Phil Flory had the same thing on his as well. So this quite nasty flash on the sort of base of the sort of inboard part of the spinner. Same as on the other one. It was explained to. I've been told off, by the way, because I was calling the propeller hub here. I was calling it the boss, which is a bit of an American term for that sort of thing. So I stand corrected. Yeah, they put this in, which I'm not that keen on, but they've done it to avoid having a great big sink mark, which tends to be always the case when you've got a big thick piece of plastic, especially when it's shaped. So, but that's the same. That's fine. So we're building up here to the main event, right? So these two are absolutely fine. They were fine on the original one, really, apart from that flash. Got the bomb, kind bomb, not a bomb, no bomb, the tank, I mean. The tank, we got those beautiful wheels and the lovely tyres, which again we had no issues with this at all. A really nice sprue, nothing to see here folks. So this one actually, I don't know why they have this one because this one was all good. I think they were just checking for warpage generally. I'm going to pop that in there and they can safely go away. Just bear with me one moment and we'll get straight into the really squeaky bum time. I've got this reputation now like I'm the Grim Reaper in the modelling review world. I don't think I deserve that. I just don't fib. Tell it like it is. I mean, somebody, you know, again, this comment that a certain individual made about didn't need to say anything, you could have just gone to Airfix and got it replaced. What a stupid comment that is. I get kits from ICM at no charge to me, but they also had an issue. They had the Bradley that came with a complete missing sprue. I didn't hide it, I just said, oh, it's missing, and then I tell people in the next show they'd replaced it for me, no problem at all, a month later because it's the monthly. But that was all sorted for me, you know, it's not a problem. But it's just so you know, if I said nothing about these issues, it would be a pretty nasty surprise for people, you know, when they get their kit and find out they've got a really bad one. The real issue that there is with this model is just that how many are good and how many are bad. That is the crux of the matter, really. Right, are we ready for this? Which one is that? That's, yeah. Let's get into the the wing. Here we go. Oh, now then. Tell you what, let me just move these out of the way. Hold your breath. Cross your fingers. You ready? Right. So we've got this warpage. It's definitely a factor on a lot of the sprues, actually, the bigger sprues. But you will see here, this is like Phil Fleury showed his, and it was just like mine. It was a seagull, really, seagull wing. This isn't. Clearly, we've got an improvement here, big improvement, and it doesn't look unbuildable. There's a bit of the part itself doesn't actually look affected on this. It's just the outer, but it is doing some weird things in terms of. I was going to say the design. I don't think it's the design. More, I think this is. I still maintain. I think it's the way it's been removed from the machine because look carefully at the sort of symmetry here. It's not quite symmetrical, and I don't think that's the design. I think that's forces that are put on it when it's still soft coming out of the machine. So, sorry if I hold it. Just go back a bit. Try and hold it like this. You can see I'm not influencing it in any way. Just holding it like that. Well, this is a huge improvement on the one I showed you. I don't know if it just bows out slightly at the end. To me that looks... I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. That's nothing like that horror show that I showed you last week. It just looked like a banana. Anyway, it was like a twisted banana as well, you know. And I say Phil Fleury's wasn't much better. Slightly, didn't quite have a twist motion, but his was, if anything, more dipping at one end, you know. So obviously not a good one. That looks fine. And we've got this beautiful detail that, you know, we've talked about and I was so impressed with at Telford. So that, I'm delighted to say, isn't crap. That is very nice, beautiful. So let's move on, see what else we got. Oh, the other wing. Oh! We've still got the ejector pin marks. You don't think Phil Fleury noticed? He did do quite a quick review. Ejector pins I'm talking about on the flaps, which can be seen. But as I said before, I'll just repeat this. It's not a major issue in that they're not deep ones. They're relatively shallow. In fact, I spoke to a guy who did the model building at Telford from Airfix, and he said to me, he agreed, yes, there were some marks on the flaps, but he said that actually it was a very easy fix. It was it was just a smear of filler and just rub it down, gone. So, because they haven't got the depth and they haven't got the ridges, so it's not too bad. Now let's have a look at these. Let's have a proper look now at these wings, because when I saw Phil's review, I know one of his wings, he was quite concerned about lower wing we're talking here. he was quite concerned about the warpage, because there is warpage. Again, if I just hold it in the middle, it's not. It's proper warped, isn't it? It doesn't look like a Tamiya sprue. Do you know what I mean? But I don't think in this case we've got it affecting the part. Thank goodness. See what I mean? Though it's not great, is it? They didn't look like this from Plastech. You know, I know the UK built Spitfires. They're much more uniform looking. But in fairness, that warpage doesn't really seem... You can actually see how the frame is lifting away from the actual tip of the wing, so I don't think it's going to affect it. The wing looks like it's almost like saying, no, I'm not going that way, you go that way. It's a bit like C-3PO, isn't it, in Star Wars? Well, you go that way, I'm not going that way. What did you say? You'll be rusting within a week or something. I'm digressing. But a very, very beautiful... the parts are beautiful, the finishing and the riveting is really nice. It looks scale-like. It's not overly done just because it's 24th scale. And as I said, Matt Whiting designed this kit, and when somebody says Matt Whiting, you know, or Paramjet has designed a kit, I get quite excited because they've always produced some really nice ones, you know, like the Anson and in the case of Paramjet, the Buccaneer and stuff like that. The other one did. Was it the Gannet as well? I know I'm not a Gannet fan, but I know he did a fine job on that. But look at the detail here. Let's have a closer look. So this is the underside. Obviously, you've got this. This vent underneath. Very, very nicely moulded. And this, again, we've got a little bit of warpage on this one, but yeah. But luckily, it's not. It is sort of warping at the ends. It just smacks to me of someone who is ripping out perhaps by a corner where it, especially on the other one, this one here. That to me, let me just wind it back, and I'm speculating slightly here, but I think that has been grabbed here, because that's the bit that seems odd. I think it's been grabbed and pulled in this direction, pulled away from the wing in that direction, and that I think is what's caused it, to be honest. But anyway, it doesn't matter. In the case that I've got in front of me now, which I've got to be careful now, because everybody now realises that what I was saying was absolutely spot on. I know I may have expressed myself a little strongly, but what I was saying was spot on. Now the problem is, I don't want to be seen to be, oh well, mine's alright, so everything's fine. Yeah, and what I would say to you, based on my experiences talking to Airfix in the last couple of days, is that, yeah, just if you're not happy, you know, raise it with them and either say you want to send it back, replacement parts, whether they've got physical spares at the moment yet, I'm a bit doubtful about that. Oops, actual spares, you know, but they may have alternative kits. I think there's about, that's part of 12,000, is it 11,500 kits? They've initially manufactured in the first batch. So there will be, I don't think anybody's sold out of them yet, so I'm sure there will be stock around that they can, well, they've probably got stock in Margate, I suspect, where the warehouse is, down the road. Don't suffer in silence and, you know, hold a grudge. I don't hold grudges. I know it sounds like I do. I can assure you I don't. You've got to give somebody the chance. We all make mistakes. I make lots and lots of mistakes in life. We all do that. It's how you correct them that really matters. That's the true test. Now, there are some mistakes you could argue. There are some mistakes you can argue that should be avoided, like having the same mistakes again and again and again, which is what we've had here. Not, you know, I'm talking generally now with this Indian factory that Airfix are using. People have a bit of a negative view of it, but they will do, won't they, I suppose. Give me a second. That didn't feel too good. What did I do? I haven't broken that. No. You've got to give them the chance to put it right. What my beef is, if you like, is just that they need to stop doing this. It's got to change in the future, I think. You can't keep going on like this. People just think that this is the norm. This is like the new normal, the Airfix normal, and it's not like Tamiya. It's not like Qatari. It's not like Eduard, you know, or ICM. If they think they've got a lot of hassle and they may get a bad kit, there shouldn't be any bad kits really. It's 2025, I'm going to use the knife on it. It's 2025 and we have a right, especially at this price point, it's a premium product. You'll notice I've got a new blade, straight through. It's a premium product and we have got, people have got a right to expect a quality product, and I think that Airfix have got to understand that going forward they need to improve the QC. And it doesn't matter how they do it, we don't necessarily need to know how they do it, but it needs to be done, and that I think is the biggest issue. The future, they just cannot carry on having issue after issue after issue. Now, something I want to draw your attention to, which I don't think Phil saw this either. It's only a small thing. On these exhausts, which I've still got misgivings about, Phil said if you get a really clean cut on them, and you might be right here, he said if you get a really clean cut on them, you might be able to get them off okay without any issues at all. However, what I don't think you noticed, if the very third from the last, can you see it's got a sink mark on it? It's got a hole in it in actual fact. The third from the end, third in. Yeah, and it's exactly the same. Actually, this is not quite as bad. It was a bit more obvious, a bit more deep on the first example. What I still can't get my head around is why they seem to have slide moulded. They seem to have slide moulded the wrong end. I'm not going to back up about this because I don't think it's going to have an impact on the final thing. It's just, I'm curious about it. I should have asked Dale, I forgot actually. There are some curious design choices, but I'm still not convinced that's Matt Whiting's idea. I've just got this feeling that he's presented the concept and somehow the tool maker designing the slide moulding tool has got it the wrong way around. I don't know. But it's beautiful. I don't sound like I'm being negative. No, I'm not. You've got your supercharger here, and you got all your oil coolant reservoir at the front here and all this stuff. It's really nice. I mean, this is going to build up into a really, really nice looking 109. And I mentioned before, didn't I, about one of the areas that deeply impressed me was some of this wiring and the unions, coolant pipes. I mean, look at some of this stuff. It's absolutely epic. I mean, this, yes. Look at the little oil reservoir tanks on the side, like a catch tank, aren't they? Actually, it reminds me of the Formula 1 cars where they sometimes have an oil catch tank at the top. And you've got starter motors and compressors and all sorts of stuff going on here. And it has got that helpful guide, in the instructions that tells you what the parts are, which is what we all want. Oops. We all want that. We want to know what they are because it's an educational, enjoyable experience, and that's something that's been lacking on so many kits, even today. And for Airfix to have made this jump into like a big wider world in a way, that is something we should all congratulate them for. Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it's just gorgeous, really. This sprue is perhaps one of the very best in the kit. But there are some great sprues, in fairness. So, my takeaway from this kit is going to be, just please don't do this again. Let this be the final time we have a situation like this. And if you can't guarantee the quality that you need, then you need to find a supplier, an alternative supplier who can. Because we can't have this situation where everybody's so excited for a product and then the delivery isn't good. And I've now got one of each. I've got one that's absolutely fine and one that's a dog, quite frankly. Might go in the raffle in the Christmas tombola for the local charities or something. Who knows? But that would do some good, wouldn't it? But it's so bad, I probably wouldn't do that. I might keep it for spares or research or something. Right, now then, here we go. This is a very important one we need to look at. I'm giving you all this positive vibe now, but unfortunately I haven't actually checked the fuselage yet, and that was, on mine, was as bad as the wing. I mean, it just splayed right out like that. It was absolutely horrendous. It looked like an Airfix Vintage Classic from 1971. But it was a new tool, so that's not what we want to see, obviously. Now, Dale mentioned that yes, there's some warpage. This has got minor warp, nothing really. You notice it, but it's not impacting on the parts. So let's have a look at these his cowlings, you know, with the cutouts for the guns, which are very, very beautiful. Let me just put it that way around. I'm starting to, I can feel my blood pressure and my heart rate have all slowed down. I'm enjoying this, and my eyes are sort of got that thing about kid in a sweet shop moment now, which we didn't have before. I get myself worked into a right old state. I had to call the nurse in the end to get more meds, but anyway. When I say more meds, I mean more centimillion. But look at these, aren't they nice? Look at the riveting here. You see that? That's really, really finely done. It's a bit awkward to photograph. You've got the big fat buglers here for your guns. Trim wheel. It's like a back-to-back wheel, isn't it? It's really nice. It's a lovely design kit, this. There's no question about it. Matt Whiting, it's like his magnum opus, frankly. I take my hat off to him. I spoke to him at length at the show about it, and it was fascinating to talk to him, hear him talking about it. Now here we go. So here we've got another warped one, but it's there, isn't it? But it's not splaying like that other one was. It was splayed up at about 40 degrees. It was unbelievable. And Dale noted that when they looked at this, he actually said to me, you can tell they went through it properly because he actually gave me a description of each one. And he said, yeah, there is some warpage, but it doesn't affect the parts. We're very confident that will go together absolutely fine. A little bit of the glue will handle that. I don't think it can handle it when it's trying to turn, do a 90-degree right turn almost, but here we clearly have it. You get the cannon here, look, the cannon that goes through this engine and the spinner. Is it a 30mm in the nose? I thought it was a 30mm. Maybe I should check that. But look at the texturing is nice as well. And say it's the subtlety of it. It's very nicely riveted, and these hatches. Yeah, done a fine job. There's nothing wrong with the design. It's just the moulder's execution that's let us down with this story. Yeah, so we've got the slide moulding, which enables us to have this very crisp, accurate and sharp, consistent panel line underneath. Nice, isn't it? Beautiful. What an improvement over the one I showed you last week. It's like it's made by a different species, this one, isn't it? Maybe it was. But no, it's a nice, huge improvement now. It's absolutely fine. That's completely buildable. So that is a huge relief, because that really was shocking. This is looking like I saw at Telford now. Exactly why I got so excited in the first place. Which is why I got so cross. So it's like a kid having all these... He's opening his presents on Christmas Day and some burglar comes in and snatches them all off you. That's what it felt like. Finally, there's the last one, isn't it? Yeah. Why didn't I see the guns? Did I not open that one? Finally, what have they done here? Oh, they put some tape in it, okay. There's obviously some... These ones they've opened, they've obviously got some slight concern over them. But, because there is warpage, that's why. Can you see that? So it's a warped sprue again. But when the parts are not so big, I don't think it... Yeah, it doesn't really have an impact, I don't think. Apart from... Well, I'm not so sure. The elevators. I don't remember that being warped on the other sprue, actually. I thought it was okay. Because if you remember, I commented about the elevators and I said, they're actually melded in one piece, both sides. They're not, you don't put two sides together. But can you see the warpage we've got here? It is impacting on that elevator, so that might just need a bit of work. You look at it, you see the effect it's having. It's bowing it a bit. Might be a little bit of a warm water stroke hairdryer job on this. I mean, I suspect from what I've just said that I'll get away with it, because I think I've got a feeling on the other sprue it was actually okay. So I think the other parts are fine. Don't think they're going to impact because they're all small. It's just that one. It's got this, And I think if you cut that off the sprue, I think that's going to be warped, that elevator. Anyway, yeah, I think I might be okay because I've got the other one to go at. That's that, and then finally, and I don't think we had a problem with this one anyway. Now this is the one that's got all the little hatches, stowage hatch open or stowage hatch closed in the back of the cockpit. There we go. Yeah, you got your floor instrumentation, and then you've got the vertical tail, vertical stabilizer. Obviously there's going to be other versions of this later because they've made it in a breakdown, the way Matt's designed it, in a breakdown that will obviously lend itself to being other versions. And as I say, here's your little hatch at the back of the cockpit where they've got the stowage door flap. Is that the flap itself there? I think it is. There's two different versions. That's the door that goes in. Yeah, it is. So that goes in there. And then you've got your rudder over here. Typical 109 rudder. Yeah, that is a bit warped. It's just unfortunate that it's... I think we've got a bit of a problem here, actually. Again, I might get away with it because I've got two kits to go at, but if you look at this, I don't know if I can get this on camera very well. This part here, which is part of the floor, is it? No, it's the top of the cockpit. It's the sort of tub area where the pilot sits, I think. And if you look at it, that's got warp in it. So I might have to check my other kit, make sure that between them, because I don't remember this being warped in the other kit. I don't remember either of these two being warped. So, yeah, so it's definitely, overall it's much better, but there's just a couple there. There's these last two actually, where actually they are a bit warped still. I'm going to have to just check that I can get away, and if I've got a good kit between the two, I'm not going to make a fuss or complain about it. But the trouble is, you're watching this, and if you've paid £100, you're not going to be that happy if you've got that as well. So I'm sorry to the the people that like to cheerlead and don't like any criticism of Airfix. It doesn't matter. I get the same with Edward as well. People that definitely don't like me criticising Edward, but hey ho, bad things happen, blah blah. But again, I'm only telling you what I've seen. It's not personal. I did see the Edward the other day I quite liked, didn't I? That's P40 Warhawk. And if I just bring it back in. So yeah, I think that most of that kit they've sent me, that top one is, there's two there that are a little bit concerning. The rest of it seems fine. Some of these things you can work around, some are easy to work around, some are not so easy to work around, but I don't really feel we should be having that in 2025. I think they've now, for me, they have now, touch wood, I think they've given me, I didn't pay for it, so... One guy said, I can't believe you're having a rant about your kit, a kit you didn't pay for. And again, it's the same attitude. It's like, why would I not point out things that are wrong? And what does it matter who paid for it? It's an appraisal of a manufactured product. It shouldn't. The finances behind it are quite irrelevant, quite frankly. People want to know what the product's like. And that's what I deliver. I try to. So yeah. I'm very grateful to Airfix. I think they've solved it. Between the two kits, I think I've got a good kit now, between the two. There's certainly the wings and all those really big parts that we had major problems with, we got fixed. There's a lot of detail in that kit. I think it will build up well, as long as you've got a good one. If you haven't, then, as I say, you should probably go back to Airfix and challenge that and say, you're not entirely happy. And what I suspect they'll do is they'll probably do another production run to cover themselves. But I feel sorry for Airfix in the UK at Margate, because I just feel they're being let down by people kind of not doing their job, really. At the end of the day, they're paying people. I don't know the arrangements, and I don't need to get into that, but just feels like they are carrying the can for somebody else. That's the way it feels to me, and I don't like that. I want them, they've acted in good faith with a really great design, fantastic choices, great decals. all that stuff. Beautiful, immersive experience. Exactly what I like the most. The immersiveness, explaining the components of your engine and the cannons and blah blah blah. That's brilliant. I mean, they've really stepped up on this kit above all others, really taking it to a new level. And then to be let down by others elsewhere, it's just not acceptable, and they should not allow that to continue in the future. But anyway, I'm going to wind it up here. I don't want to harp on. People know my views. What do you think? What do you think? Have you got one? What's yours like? Because, you know, the fact that 5 people, it's amazing that I was getting lambasted because I was the only one that was a negative voice. I was the only one that got... Somebody said to me, I'm not going to name the other YouTuber, but somebody said, such and such's review's better than yours. And I wrote back and I said, such and such's kit's a lot better than mine. I would hope his review is a lot better. Yeah, mine was a complete disaster, really. Most of it was, most of the important parts. So of course his review's going to be better because he's got a good kit. You know, I don't know what you mean, really. What do you want me to tell you? Do you want me to tell you that it's fantastic, there's nothing wrong with it, go buy one immediately? Well, yeah, we can do that once we know it's sorted, you know. But I think there's a thing with social media where people seem to follow each other like sheep, and they retweet things and repeat things, and it's like repeating rumours almost. It's like an echo chamber. They're making up their own reality. We've seen the reality with our eyes. That's what really matters, you know. And I've got to say, when Phil Flory had his problem, I was in the middle of a show, funnily enough, when somebody broke that news. One of the viewers, in fact. Who was it? Was it Chris? It was Chris. Chris or Andy, I can't remember. One of you broke this news. Phil Flory's got the same problem as you, and I was like, "Oh, really?" And I was like, "Yes." And then I thought, "That's awful. That's not good. I don't want it to be a problem. Nobody wants that. We want it to be sorted, you know." But I was getting such abuse from people, as though I was lying or inventing a problem that didn't exist. Don't be silly. I think that people need to wake up to realities, you know, and see the world as it actually is, not the way you wish it was. You know, it's like trying to appease something that for your own benefit and mislead people. That's definitely not the game I'm in. So I felt vindicated, actually, when Phil Flory had pretty much there or thereabouts the same issues as me. I thought, well, there you go then. It's just a matter of batches or faulty patch or something, but you know, I hope Airfix can get on top of it. They're certainly putting the effort in. I've got to say, I was mighty impressed by the quality of Dale's response, especially since I was quite angry. I know I was quite angry, perhaps I was too angry, but the anger came from emotion that was born of anticipation for something really wonderful, which I thought it was. And then I felt so badly let down. I felt almost betrayed, to be honest. Like Hermann Göring said in that Battle of Britain movie, "You have me verraten! You have betrayed me!" But clearly, you know, that was driving the reason I got quite so upset about it. Because I really thought that we'd hit the high point with this one. And we have in many ways. As I say, presentation, the decals and the design and the instructions and the design of the plastic, design of the colour call outs, absolutely Tammy I like, you know, absolutely love it, to be honest. So I just hope and pray Airfix can understand, you know, we can't just keep getting on by with these problems. I think they need a long-term fix. And I basically said that to Dale in my email to him. I said, I hope you can fix this long term. You know, I think you need can't be having his time taken up like this. That's not his job, going through kits. Come on, it's ridiculous. I feel quite sorry for him and his colleagues there. They've done everything right, you know, and then they get dropped in a situation like that. So I think that they deserve congratulations. Thank you to Dale. Do appreciate it. I genuinely do. There's a lot to like about this kit. And I almost think that perhaps Airfix should send a message out to their retailers and just say, you know, let people check them. Because if you check it and it's good, then there's no reason not to grab one of these, because they are lovely. And was it Phil Flory or somebody else mentioned about this recently and said they do have a habit, don't they, Airfix, of only doing fairly short runs, actually. So who knows? They might not be around for more than 6 months in terms of production, maybe less. So what we say, 12,000? Did we say initial 12,000, just under? And it's certainly something that's. I mean, if you get a good one, certainly something worth having, I think. It's certainly got to be probably the best 109 on the market if you get a good one. Okay, it's right up there, isn't it, with Zokimura and Katare, and I mean they've probably got the best ones now, haven't they? I reckon. So that's a real compliment, I think, for me to say that. I mean it. To be up there with those guys. Still baffles me why Tamiya never did this. Somebody else said that yesterday and said, when are Tamiya going to do one? They won't now. They've missed that boat. They should have gone straight into a 109. I said this at the time. A 109, maybe a Thunderbolt, after they did the Mosquito. They just stopped doing them, didn't they? But anyway, digressing. So thank you to Airfix. Thanks to the effort that was put in and the time. I've emailed me as well as all going through every sprue. It must be quite frustrating. And it is appreciated. So thank you very much. I do appreciate it. And I just don't want to see you go through this again and have to suffer this yet again, after we've seen it twice this year. And I hope that somehow you can find a way to have a different path in the future that can give you more confidence about, you launch something as well conceived as that is, and you can have the confidence to just send it out, like Tamiya do, just send it out and it's going to be good. There is no room in 2025 for bad batches. This is something from the 70s, It's not British Leyland. We must dial that out. The likes of Dale should be sitting in his office and looking at the sales going up, day in day, week on week, and completely confident that the other people in the organisation, even if it's subcontractors doing their job, that's the thing they've got to tackle in the future, I think. Anyway, thank you to Airfix for supplying it and all your efforts. Thank you to you for watching. I hope this is... I don't know what to say, whether it's given you some satisfaction. At least I'm not against the product, which some people suggested. Oh my goodness, some of the comments have been quite remarkable. A lot of supportive ones, but the unsupportive ones were just mad, really. They were just crazy. I hope yours is going to be okay. If you've got one on order or one's arriving, just do go through those sprues. The ones I mentioned, so the one that's got the elevator on, the wings, the fuselage, these are the main ones that seem to have been giving trouble. But you do wonder if it's just an individual yank, so it might be more random than what I'm saying. I don't know. You need to just check them. And if you're going to buy one from a retailer, I would explain it to them and say, look, if you're serious about buying one, say, I will buy it if it looks good. Can I have a look at it? Some retailers will let you do that, some won't, I suppose. But it's not a cheap product, so of course I think you've got every right to expect a good quality product, haven't we all? Anyway, thanks to Airfix. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back again very soon. Not too far in the future. We've got ICM's Hamden. We've got the Tomcat from Tamiya, and I've also got the Armour Hurricane, all coming very, very soon. So stay tuned for those. And thank you for tuning in. I hope this brought some closure on this situation that we've had. It kind of has physically brought closure, I think, for me. I'll bring in my slightly less impressive one. We'll put that in the back. The box on this was a bit better as well, by the way. But yeah, I hope that you get a good one and it brings some closure. And if you are still concerned, voice your concerns to Airfix. You go and talk to them. They're always very good at being open and talking to people. I think that they must listen to the customer. They have been doing that very much so with these new ideas that come out with, like masks and things. Some question marks about the performance of those, but they've certainly heard the call of what people want and they've responded to that. So that's really good. So they do listen. My concern is always that the people behind the scenes. I don't think the problem's the likes of Dale. It's probably the bean counters at Hornby, and I suspect they just want to get the cheapest price for cost for things like injection moulding subcontractors, and they just don't understand the issues that that creates for the business. And I think that I personally, this is my take on it, you know, in summary at the end, I'd pay another £10 for that to have it pay. If it was in the UK, I'd give you 110 for it. Yeah, I would. To have that peace of mind and that extra little bit of quality, I think it'd be worth every penny, to be honest. And not be having me ranting and raving and people getting upset and the other customers. Then I've just had 2 or 3 today that have emailed me and comments on YouTube. Oh, mine's arrived and mine's terrible. Oh, we don't want this. That's not what we want. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. You know, forget the cost. I'm talking to the Hornby accountants here. Forget the cost of everything and focus on what value you're getting for every pound you spend, and maximise your value. Because, you know, having people like Dale and Matt and the QC manager and all these other people, probably lots of them, I suspect, having to get involved in sorting through quality issues that's not of their making. It's not good. Nobody wants to be doing that. Invest a bit more in the future, and invest a bit more in the quality of your suppliers, and I think make sure you can hold them to account. I think you get a very much better return in the future. Anyway, thanks very much. Thanks for watching. Until next time, stay well, stay safe. Thanks for all your time. I hope you thought it was interesting, if nothing else. And until next time, take care of yourselves, stay well, stay safe, and I'll see you again soon. Till then, thanks a lot, and bye for now.